Welcome to the IVF Abroad podcast for people who are struggling with infertility and trying to conceive and who are facing more obstacles than options when it comes to having fertility testing or treatment in their home countries. Alongside other experts, I will share, educate and empower you on your journey and help you to learn more about going abroad for advanced fertility testing and treatments like IVF and egg donation. I'm Emma Haslam, your host, now mum of one, and the go-to expert in fertility treatment abroad. Since the birth of our son in 2018, I have made it my mission to make fertility treatment more informed, transparent, accessible, supported and affordable for more people. And I help people just like you to become unstuck, to find a best fit clinic that truly meets their needs and to have fertility treatment on their terms and timescales so they can achieve their dreams of growing their families. And I'm here now to help you too. Be sure to check out the free resources in the show notes for more help after listening to today's episode. Welcome to the IVF Abroad podcast. I'm Emma Haslam and I'm here with you today to talk about some of the lessons that I have learned. And these lessons are things that I really wish that I knew in advance of researching, planning and having my fertility treatment abroad. And these are some of the biggest lessons that I've learned through my own journey, but also through the journeys of the 200 plus people that I've supported to do the same. These are things that I really wish that somebody had been able to tell me before we started. And I really hope that by telling you, it will help you to avoid some of the stress and confusion that we went through. Because let's be honest, having fertility treatment at times is stressful and overwhelming. And when you're thinking about the researching, planning and having fertility treatment abroad aspects, there is more for you to organise and to do and to understand. And that can make things feel more stressful and overwhelming. Or maybe they don't feel like that to you, but if things happen along the way, it can feel like that because, as I've said before, you don't know what you don't know. And so my aim with this episode is to give you some personal and practical support that is useful for any of you that you're considering having things like IVF abroad. So, in no particular order, the first lesson that I would like to bring to the table is you don't need to wait until going abroad for treatment is a plan B choice. What I mean by that is you can absolutely decide if you've never had fertility treatment before, or if you're at the point of just starting to look at private fertility treatment. Maybe you're having NHS treatment, maybe you've had NHS treatment and you know that your next step is private treatment. Some people kind of think, oh, we'll go in the UK first. And usually that comes from a place of it just feels easier. And in lots of ways, it is easier because it's something that's familiar to you. Most people choose a clinic within an hour of where they live, so they get to sleep in their own bed every night. It's a country where you understand the laws, the medical system, and the clinic's just down the road. So that feels easy. And as I touched on before, having fertility treatment is stressful. So sometimes people are like, I'll go abroad if it doesn't work in the UK. Or they see going abroad almost as a second-rate choice, something that's not as good. But if you get the right country and the right clinic, it can be as good and it can also be a heck of a lot better too in the right places. So I'm here to say to you, don't wait till you're sort of desperate to look abroad. Maybe you're at the point where you're running out of money. If you can make this decision from a point of view of not being desperate and in terms of taking some of that control back and making that decision sooner in your journey, then why not? Don't dismiss going abroad because it feels scary. Because if you know what you're doing, or you get some support to know what you're doing, then it doesn't have to be like that. You can also stretch your budget so much further, not in all countries abroad, but in many countries abroad, you can stretch your budget so much further. And we know that having fertility treatment like IVF is a massive numbers game. So if you can stretch your budget further by going abroad from the start, if you're somebody who does need multiple rounds of treatment or testing or whatever, it's difficult to say, isn't it? Then you're more likely going to have the money to be able to have the treatment that you might want and need later. And also, by choosing the right clinic in the right country, this can be the first class choice for people. And I've done a podcast episode on this before, but I know how it can feel like if you choose a local clinic to you, it feels like it's the best choice because it feels easy. But actually, if that's not the right clinic for you and your needs and your budget and your medical needs and your personality, if it's then not working for you, it's not going to feel easy. And I know I say it a lot, but it's so important to find the right clinic for your medical needs and budget and care needs. Because if that local fertility clinic isn't the right clinic for those needs, then you're reducing your chances of success. And it might feel easy now, but it will not feel easy later when it's not working. So actually, by doing the perceived harder thing of going abroad may make things so much easier for you in the long run. So I would say don't wait until you're desperate to look abroad. This is not a second class choice. It doesn't have to be. There are so many great countries and clinics doing, in my opinion, a much better job than we are, that are light years ahead in terms of things that they are offering, in terms of speed, in terms of price, in terms of customer service. So don't let fear hold you back and just consider, actually, what is the reason why we're not looking to go abroad now? Maybe it is right for you to stay in the UK initially, but just look at what's driving that, I suppose. And if it is fear, then know that you can get help and support to understand and have fertility treatment abroad so that you don't need to be scared, so that you can do things safely, so that you can do things properly in inverted commas. And I see people that decide to stay in the UK privately and they still have significant waiting times for things. And we know that time is of the essence. And I want to be able to save you time and money and heartache by choosing the wrong clinic, because outside of London, here in the UK, we don't have that many clinics. And I can tell you categorically that the probably 99% of people that I have worked with that have chosen a clinic in the UK have chosen one that is close to their house. And I say it with love and without judgment because I get it. And they don't necessarily realise that all fertility clinics are not the same. So if you're going to potentially not be looking at a clinic locally to your house anyway, but you're outside of London, then you may as well look abroad to see if that is an option for you, certainly to at least understand more. But just check in with yourself and see what is making you think you can't go abroad, perhaps now for your first or your next round of treatment. The second thing, and I've kind of touched on it a little bit already, but not all clinics are created equal. So whether that's choosing a clinic in the UK, wherever you live, or abroad, it's not just about glossy websites and even just about costs. It's got to be a clinic that, first up, suits your medical needs. Secondly, suits your budget, but also can offer you the care that you need so that irrespective of the result, you're going to look back then and think, I don't regret going with that clinic. Or we don't regret going with that clinic. And you feel like you were well looked after through the process. And that is so important because that's going to make a real difference to the experience that you have when going through something that is a tough time. And fertility clinics may like you to think that they're all created equal and that they can do everything that you want, but they're not all experts in everything. And you may have specific needs like male factor infertility, unexplained infertility, PCOS, etc., etc. Perhaps you're having donation, and it doesn't all work the same in every country. It'll be easy to match to the way you look in some countries versus other countries. There are different laws around things like anonymity. There are lots of things that you need to understand. So while all clinics aren't created equal, countries aren't created equal either. Some are ethical, some are not. The laws and how things work, who they'll treat, all vary. And they are things that you need to understand before getting too invested into which clinics you like the look of. And you really need to understand what a clinic specialises in and, how they work, what their costs are, because even by going abroad and saving lots of money, they still will vary in price. So you need to understand how to understand costings and what isn't included and what questions to ask so that you can ensure that you fully understand ahead of time how much the treatment or testing or whatever it is that you need is going to be at that clinic. And, finding the right fit for country and clinic requires more than sort of just Google searches. And it's great to look at reviews to get a kind of feeling and to have a little bit of a dig into the detail. But that still doesn't necessarily tell you if that clinic is right for you. So this is something that needs time spent on it, but not so much time going around in circles that you just become stuck and unable to progress forward. Because again, that just wastes loads of time for you. And a lot of people get very overwhelmed at this point. So it's important to be looking in the right countries and then knowing what to ask clinics so that you can understand, are they safe? Are they regulated? And are they going to give me the kind of care that we want? And do they specialise in what I or we need? So that is super, super important. And you're best to look into countries first before starting to look at clinics. And that will also help you to chunk down the massively overwhelming list of clinics. If you've ever Googled IVF abroad, you will know what I mean. You get a lot coming back and you're like, whoa, where do we even start? And it can be so overwhelming. So, looking at country first at least helps to cut down on those clinic lists because you can work out where you can have the treatment that you are looking for as a person or people in your situation. And that just helps you to not waste time. The logistics matter as well in terms of your treatment. You need to understand the different options you might have around travel, around length of stay needed, because there are ways in which things can be done to reduce time that might not need both people there for the full time if you've got a partner. And also thinking about when to book things like travel and to get your medication and where to get your medication from. The cost of medication varies wildly. And if you're having own egg treatment, it can be up to £2,500. It's a lot of money. So you need to know where to shop around to get medication at the best prices. You also need to understand when's best to book travel so that you don't waste any money on travel. And you need to know what to do and when and where to go to get anything that the clinic may ask you to go and have done in the UK. And having a plan, honestly, makes the difference between you feeling like completely calm or chaotic. And I know I've said this before in other podcast episodes as well, but you don't know what you don't know. So I kind of come across two sets of people. I come across people who are so nervous about going abroad and others who are not nervous at all. But then they sometimes come across roadblocks because you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes things happen and then you're not prepared and you don't know where to go to get the help that you might need to do things like, say, for example, a clinic asks you to go for a particular type of blood test and you've absolutely got no idea where to go and have that. And you don't know when is best to book your flights, your accommodation, where to go to get your medication from. And all of this just adds to your stress levels. And this is the thing that can put people off going abroad. But if you know what to do and when and where to go to get the help that you need, then honestly, it makes such a difference. So you need to think ahead of time about logistics and know when you need to do what, and you need to shop around for medication as well to ensure that you're getting the best price that you can. Lesson number 4, I think it's number 4. You need guidance. You need guidance. It's not just from a clinic. You need some external guidance. You need practical support. And then you also need that emotional support, whether that's from your partner, from friends, family. counsellor, coach. You need some help to make the journey smoother for you, because this is a lot. And if you've never had fertility treatment before and you are considering going abroad as well, it will feel even bigger because it's not something you've done before. So you need to make sure you've got a proper support system in place, both practically from a kind of logistics point of view for the things that we've talked about, so you know where you can go to get that help, for example, for your medication or for scans, etc. But then you also need that other side of things, so perhaps that emotional support as well that you might get from your partner, but maybe it's from other people. And really consider who you want to tell, because for every person that you tell that you're doing this, you don't have to, but largely people will then ask you whether or not it worked. And if it didn't work, you're possibly not going to want to go and tell loads of people. Like, I told everybody and anyone that would listen to me that we were having treatment. And then when it didn't work, I had to go back and tell all of those people it didn't work. And I felt like I was counselling them. Like, oh, don't worry, I know the odds and blah, blah, blah. And that, I just didn't need that. So that's something to absolutely consider. And then probably the final lesson I would say is clarity is everything. Like, when it comes to fertility treatment, you can't plan everything, okay? That's really hard. I find that really hard as a person who likes to plan, who likes to be in control. But there are certainly things that you can plan and you can know ahead of time that will reduce your overwhelm, that you know what to do if this happens or that happens, because things do happen. And then, sometimes very quickly you need to action and implement things to continue then to be able to have your treatment. And if you don't know where to go to get support with practical things in the moment, then you could end up potentially struggling. And, there are things that can save you money along the way as well. So yes, going abroad should save you plenty of money, even including flights and accommodation if you're looking in the right countries and at the right clinics. But there are other things that you can be doing along the way to save yourself money. And having that clarity and that plan up front and understanding what's to come and what to do in certain situations, honestly, will be a game changer, because it can be so overwhelming for you if not. And it was overwhelming for me. And I so wished that there was some impartial support and guidance out there, because there wasn't. And I was just reliant on Google searches and forums and threads. But the thing is, like, they're not, Google searches are not impartial. Every clinic said they were the greatest clinic in the whole wide world. And I had no idea how to find a safe clinic or one that was right for us. And I didn't know how to choose what country. And I didn't understand how things worked around donor conception. And I didn't know where the best places were to get medication and where to go for scans. And when they requested I went and got X, Y, and Z organised, I didn't know where to go and do that. And it made it so much more stressful than it needed to be. But there wasn't that impartial help out there, so I didn't have any choice. And I don't want that for you, because it was stressful. And I know it would have been stressful anyway, but it made it a lot more stressful. And I kind of didn't know when I should be panicking about things and when, what other options things might be around what we needed to do. Whereas it would have been great for somebody to be like, okay, don't worry, this is what you do in this situation. This is what you do in that situation. Because this is a well-trodden path, but of course there are nuances. And, some clinics are better at the kind of client support, patient support than others. And you've just got to have awareness of certain things to make your journey smoother, to make sure you pick a safe clinic and the one that's a good match for you. And then sort of understanding how everything works. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to put it all together in your head. And honestly, it's stressful. And you don't want that. And anything you can do to kind of reduce your stress during this time is helpful, because it's not nice going through IVF. And so you've got to look at where can you minimize some of the things that are either stressing you out now or could potentially stress you out. And not all fertility treatment abroad is safe. Not all clinics here or abroad are right for our needs. Not all clinics abroad are going to save you loads of money, but some places are going to save you tons of money. So there's lots of things to think about. There's lots of things to know. And I've learned those things because I went through the process 4 times, but now I've been and I've guided 200 plus people to do this. I kind of feel like I've come across everything that could potentially happen. So I have wrapped this up into my Conceive Abroad course, which this episode is coming out on Tuesday, the 16th of September. And the course will be on sale again for a short period of time from the 24th of September through to the end of the month when doors will close again. But if you join the wait list, I'm going to link it in the show notes, and you decide to buy the course with £100 off from joining waitlist. If you buy the course on the 24th or 25th of September, no obligation, but you've got to be on the wait list to get you £100 off, then you will get instant access to my course, which mimics the system that I have developed and I use with my one-to-one clients so that you can understand the process of having fertility treatment abroad. You know how to choose a country. There's some information on different countries that you might want to consider and some of the nuances between countries, how to choose a clinic that is right for you as well. So you feel super confident in your choice. And then all of the logistics of how to plan and what to plan and when and what you might come up across, plus the bonus of my little black book of contacts as well. So you know where to shop around for things like medication, scans, blood work, ultrasounds, etc. And actually, by shopping around for your medication through the little black book, it's very likely you can save at least the cost of the course. But register for the early bird because then you get the £100 off. And there might be some other cheeky bonuses that are thrown in as well. But you can read all of the information about the course to work out if it's right for you or not once the early bird doors open on the 24th and 25th of September. So if you click the link in the show notes, you can join the waitlist to get all of the information and £100 off if you decide to go ahead and buy it. I've created this course because it's a really cost-effective way of you being able to get my guidance and step-by-step everything that you need to know in short, bite-sized videos. You can watch everything in under 4 hours. It's instantly accessible wherever you live in the world, and everything will be held in a course portal with lifetime access for as long as I'm running the course. It gives you everything step by step. So you will know exactly what to do and exactly what to do if anything happens along the way that you're not sure of. You will know what to do. And I think this is version 3 of the course now. So I've had people go through this course, use it very successfully. And it's a really great price as well for you to get that support, because I understand that not everybody has the budget for one-to-one support. Currently, the equivalent for this one-to-one support would be £1,500, but from waitlist, the course is only £297. So it is a bargain, especially given the money-saving tips I'm going to give you in that course will probably make the course free anyway. But it means that you can rest easy knowing that you're doing everything properly, safely, and you will just feel calmer and in control. Because if I'd have known the things that I teach you in this course earlier, I would have saved myself so much time, money, and stress. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping you to do this properly from the start. Don't wing it. It's too important to mess it up. You don't need to. And that's why I've given such an accessible price for the course. And there will be payment plans available as well. But as I said, you've got to be on the wait list to get the £100 off, and that is to buy from the 24th and 25th of September. The course will then go back up to £397 and will be available only until the end of September. If you have any questions you want to ask me about the course, you can shoot me a message over on Instagram. I'm at Your IVF Abroad. But as soon as doors open to the wait list, you will get all of the information and you can have a read through the sales page and check that the course is right for you. But if you're unsure, I'm happy for you to reach out and ask me any questions that you've got so that I can help you to make a decision whether or not the course is right for you. But I've had people go through this course and have great results. It also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee as well. So if you get it and you don't agree that it's helpful, I will give you your money back. So you've literally got nothing to lose. And you'll gain a step-by-step roadmap that I wish that I had. And it covers everything from the process of having fertility treatment abroad, choosing the right clinic and the country and planning the logistics, knowing what questions to ask so you can avoid the mistakes that I made and can have a more regulated nervous system as you go through this. So to join the waitlist, click the link in the show notes and then you will get all of the information when the doors open on the 24th of September. And if you go ahead and buy it, you will get that £100 off as well when doors open. Any other questions? You know where I am, over on Instagram at Your IVF Abroad, and I shall see you next week. Bye. If you are facing more obstacles than options and want to learn more about how to overcome your fertility testing and treatment challenges in your home country so that you too can fast track to growing your family and on your terms, then check out my free training at yourivfabroad.co.uk/free masterclass. Don't forget to rate and subscribe so you don't miss an episode and so that I can reach and help more people. Thanks for listening.